Okay, so two videos before, one that shall be deleted, and another that, as soon as I was about to start running the varieties, cut off. And so I'm going to do this one with just running the varieties. These are the different varieties of the Aka Dua as I work with them, okay? Um, there's some variation in color, and there are two extra varieties that Sadaka uses. This is me. Lapis and Void. So I'm going to start with Void. For purposes of correspondence, none of these relate directly to the chakras. Chakras. I'm trying to start to say chakra. It's more correct. So, however, the general associations, starting from the bottom below the root chakra, and this is what most New Agers people today are calling this the Earth Star chakra. You can also call it the Void chakra, and that's the variety of Aka Dua that I believe correlates to it. It does not a one-to-one correspondence. None of these are, okay? But here. It can be seen of as the energy of the shadow, that which is behind or under things, the energy of the black hole, and not necessarily the sucking inward motion, but just that stasis. Could be thought of as the vacuum of space. And it's always fun because I perceive it as a shadowy thing with a somewhat, blackish hue, but it's like it seems to activate other things. And I know that a lot of other people aren't necessarily working with these types of Aka Dua. These are the only ones that I have extended outside of the body, which I think are valid varieties. And the only extensions go one chakra down past the quote unquote normal 7, and one chakra up past the normal 7. So Earth Star chakra below the root, and Soul Star chakra above the crown. These are not chakras. They are, but they aren't. Because they extend out of this physical plane, they become less local, non-local stuff. And so we can speak of them as above and beyond, or below and beyond, and yet that doesn't really fit because they are beyond that. But for our purposes, one up here and one down there. So that's the map. You will also find it's not like a combination, but you will find sort of the presence of these other types of Aka Dua in the other types of Aka Dua. And so Void, I tend to find a little bit in Jaguar because it is the energy of the eclipse. And so there's a sort of shadowy presence that comes out and feeds that energy. And so you'll find Void sort of in eclipse. It's just not a combination of those necessarily. Void is excellent for relaxation and letting everything go. It sort of recycles stuff. It can make the body very, very hot. All of the varieties can do that in different ways. But I see it tend to sort of retreat. So it's very yin. It's the ultimate yin. Lapis and Void, Earth Star, Soul Star, beyond the body, beyond the normal chakras, the regular chakras, can be thought of as yin and yang. This is the yin chakra, if you want to call it that. This is the yin variety, the yinist variety of Aka Dua. This is the yang chakra, if you want to call it that. This is the youngest variety of Aka Dua. Okay, I'm starting to this because of that, but I didn't want to start there. I wanted to go directly to obsidian. So, obsidian roughly correlates to the root chakra, and it has more, I think, to do with stability and the actual physical body. However, there's a very good exercise that I'm going to take people through where you use your proprioception, your ability to sense within your own body what is feeling in your own body, and use that to activate the Aka Dua in your skeleton. So you're going to create a skeleton out of obsidian. So this will be the obsidian skeleton practice or method or whatever you want to call it, technique. Yeah, it all sounds too formal. You can start from your toes and feel your bones. Let your muscles go completely as if they suddenly stopped working in your feet. And know that as you sense your actual bones, try to feel your actual bones, the bones in your toes, the bones in your feet. As you sense them, you are activating obsidian Aka Dua there. Okay, so it is not a constant process of thinking, now thinking of toe, now feeling skeleton, and this applies to everything. It is one thing. Your perception is the activation of the Aka Dua. Know that your will has that power to combine those things and make them one thing. That's one of the most amazing powers of the mind, or the will, if you want to call it that. I call it yi. So I'm using all of that to relax, release, and activate as I feel in my toes that my skeleton is turning into obsidian Aka Dua. And then you go up the ankles and up to the kneecaps, and then the thighs and the legs, and you try to get as deep as you can into those bones. And you feel your coccyx, the seat of you, and your bones and your spine, and then you continue with the obsidian Aka Dua all the way up the spine and out everywhere. It's a really great exercise to do. You'll be so relaxed and so grounded after that. You'll look around and you'll wonder if it's the same world you started in. Obsidian, again, is very thick and very weighty. It does move, but it doesn't seem to have much of a motion of its own. But you can move it, is what I mean to say. It can flow. This is the one for stabilization, the one for grounding, the one for I don't want to be nervous anymore. And in that sense, it can be very good for protection. Protection is not always get away from me, bad thing that I'm scared of. Protection is very often feeling comfortable and powerful within one's own skin. There's no greater protection than being powerful and being able to be in public or wherever in private, maybe that's how it is for you, in your own power and feeling powerful in your own skin, in your own bones, and knowing that I am a physical being and I am a spiritual being as well, and I can carry both of those and just be fine with it. So for me, Aka Dua obsidian is very much for stabilizing myself, because I'm a very, very nervous person. When I go out into the world and all of that, it's like I'm not me anymore. I was born terrified of the world. And I have these tools to get through it. Thank you. Now we're going to move to lunar, and this has to do with the genital chakra or the womb chakra, but not really. Again, they're just reference points. This one, well, I'll let you feel it first. I'm also redoing this video because while I think I have lost some of my cool style over the years in the videos that I've made, I've also opened up a lot more and become quote-unquote more powerful. I don't like to use that term so much, but if power is there all the time and all we have to do is open ourselves to it and allow it to flow through us, then I've never been in a better position to do so. And so I don't feel that, you know, and the other thing about style is like I was focusing so much on the way I was being perceived, you know, and making a cool video. I don't think anything got lost, really. It was just a different version of myself. It's easy to flow with lunar Aka Dua. It's another very yin, light, sometimes very cold to people, or at least cool. Silvery, and sometimes you feel energy like that, just kind of like sparkle around you, like that kind of thing. At least that's how I perceive it. Even this and the names lunar does not necessarily mean that you are using the moon energy of the Aka Dua. It's just a name, it's just a title, because it does very much feel like lunar energy. However, it's not lunar energy, it's lunar Aka Dua. Okay, it's just another expression of the strange prism that is the Aka Dua. I don't know exactly how to describe it. I think it works more on a planetary level than it works on an earthly level, although it has very much to do with gravity and magnetism in some ways, or at least stabilization, and I don't know, there's just this weird thickness and honey-like stuff to it that is so nurturing and so balancing and so good for us. I've had people tell me before when I came away from Aka Dua sessions, group sessions, you look younger, you know, and I was like, well, that's just because this energy, you know. So I don't know what it is. It's just really, really good stuff, and yet it seems somehow foreign. It seems somehow alien. Okay, so now I'm going to go through. This song's about to change. Might as well just do something a little different. Since this one is about solar. No, we're going to volcanic. That's right. Roughly corresponding to the navel and or solar plexus. The navel gets ignored in the Western chakra system. This one is like the ultimate hot for me. I tend to experience it more like lava, but a lot of people, but I do still get, it's almost like the lunar thing in which it seems to have a sort of like energy, but it's much more, I don't know, I can't do these things except by using sound effects. It's much more fiery. Heart and Solar. This one's also very hot, but it is so much more like sitting in the sun. It's not so much to me like a fiery sun. It's like the nurturing energy of the sun after you've just done a little, sun gazing and sun bathing. I almost smell salty skin and the sea sometimes when I do this one, because it reminds me of being on the beaches in Mexico as a kid, actually getting a tan. I'm blonde when I'm in the sun. It's crazy. Like all of this turns completely golden. Crazy. I should go get in the sun. This one too is amazing for things like qigong, or using using this to move energy through your body before doing qigong. But it really can be used. The Aka Dua in general can be used with qigong practices. It's just that it moves so much more thickly. I don't know if that's a word, and so much more. It's like amber or honey in some places, and so it's like it's more. It does its own thing, it flows in its own way, and you want it, like, you can get into that, you can connect to that, especially with like pole standing exercises, and just get into, and even in some of the Aka Dua literature, there are things you just stand in a pose and activate the Aka Dua and let these things happen, and it will take you into that whole space. But when you're talking about doing certain exercises that are repeated exercises and all that kind of stuff, it's very difficult to use Aka Dua in that energy. At least it is for me, or in that mode, in that prescribed movement, in that choreographed movement that qigong typically is. You learn a form, and then you hope later you can let go of the form and just completely relax and be in it. That's why I'm so into ecstatic shaking practices and spontaneous movement practices, because you feel the energy first and it moves you and you have the experience, and there's nothing to do after that. If you want to go do qigong after that, you have never experienced qigong like you've experienced qigong after a shaking practice. You do that and you activate all that energy, and you're ecstatic, and you're whooping and yelling and singing and crying and laughing and doing all this stuff and getting all into the mix. And then you're like, wow, that was the craziest experience ever. Then you do a meditation practice or qigong, and it's like, poof, your mind is so clear and so still, because you've allowed so many things to come through you, and that ecstatic, beautiful, vital force energy to clear you out. And I think that's just my path. That's where I come from. I come from that kind of stuff to be able to get into that experience and get to the other stuff later. Then suddenly, you've never experienced stillness until you've experienced extreme spontaneous movement. Alright, so throat-wise, oceanic. There's a wall over here. This variety of Aka Dua is one of my favorites, even though sometimes I've struggled to express it in the past. I feel, well, not struggled, it's just Sometimes it feels like other varieties. So you really let it go, and then you realize that it's its own thing. It is typically experienced as kind of cool, but again, I talk about these things as being certain temperatures and whatnot, as in qualities of energy. But when they react to the body and when they hit other things in your body, all kinds of things can heat up, and so it's not necessarily correct or I guess accurate to speak of them in terms of strict guidelines, as in this variety is cold and this one is hot. But I don't know. That's just how I perceive them. This is very much the Aka Dua of connection. This is a good one for Qigong, and this is pretty much where I stop with the Qigong stuff and the Aka Dua. And when I do it, I don't really evoke any particular variety. I just be present with it, holy as the Aka Dua, holy, holy, holy with a W and then holy with an H, or whatever. Um, this one has a sort of thickness to it that is a little difficult to move, I find, but also it's very much the Aka Dua of connection and just being, I don't know, it's the oceanic concept. Everything is connected because they're all connected by that water, right? That's how I sort of think of oceanic. It's only oceanic in that it doesn't necessarily mean related to the ocean, you know? It has a quality of being ocean-like. And I think it's also the Aka Dua that if sound is going to be affected by any of this stuff, it's like the Aka Dua of sound as well. Because that is sort of what connects us in this world. From distance to distance, from space to space, sound is way more important than most people realize in the creation and expression of this earth. So, the next one is atmospheric. This one is incredibly good for clearing the mind. It isn't so much mental energy as in like static electricity energy, although it can be a little electric. To me, it just seems like a plane of the atmosphere and a higher mind, which is in peace all the time. It is in stillness, although it is in constant movement. It observes stilly. It observes from that place of peaceful perception, without wavering, even though there are lightning strikes all about it, It's one of the lighter ones to me. Can be used to smooth things out. It can also be combined with other energies to make them more fluid, or less fluid and more ethereal or etheric, to be able to move the thicker varieties. I don't know that there are so many contraindications in the Aka Dua. I haven't really found, I mean, taking one of the lowest or densest, I should say, expressions, and one of the highest expressions, and combining them doesn't really seem like it would work, but sometimes it does. So I don't know if there's anything. The only contraindications, I think, are the fact that this is powerful stuff, and sometimes by toying around too much, you can get yourself into sort of like altered states of consciousness, and you don't want to do that while driving. You don't want to do that just before you go to work, that kind of thing. Otherwise, have fun. So, moving to the unnamed variety, which is amazing. Another name, another name that I would give to the unnamed, because its name is unnamed, I would call it pearlescent. But just because there's so many stone associations. But the one right after that is another stone, and that's not how they all are. So I would have to change or give alternative names to like every single variety to do that. Okay, now la pièce de résistance is the lapis variety. Oh, this track is called "Hello, We Love You." It's on my His Spirit World album. There's a lot of spirit titles in a lot of the things I've been making. This is also a good protection and finishing energy. I find that it is the energy of ultimate protection, as in divine protection. Oh yeah, and then there's Jaguar. And then there's Jaguar. I like to use Jaguar non-locally. So sometimes I will do body stuff. I will do chakra stuff. I will do chakra sequences, which is even a more advanced technique. And I will do combinations of varieties at the same time. So you don't necessarily go from one chakra to the other. Sometimes you can activate both simultaneously. But again, I try to get away from the chakra associations with the Aka Dua, blah, 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 because it is not the same thing. Plus, there's a lot of weird misinformation about the chakras in general, and I won't go into that now. But when it comes to Jaguar, I tend to think of it almost like occupying the space around me. Everything, I think, always starts within, but I also think of it just sort of like filling up the egg, you know? It can be a kind of shadowy energy. I don't think I finished that track correctly. Okay, so, a couple things. Going through this video for the first time or the second time or whenever, you will get pretty activated. If you don't have the Aka Dua, then you'll start to feel it for a while and then it'll probably go away. But it may open you up to being able to perceive those layers of energy. Oops. I'm going to turn that down a bit. And if you're interested, write me or anyone who can do the transmission for you. To do that, you do have to have the actual transmission to get it to start working through your body all the time. And then in order to get it to do that, you have to use it. Yeah, you have to use it all the time. And you can progress up through the levels without doing anything else. However, I am now starting to be of the opinion that what needs to be done, at least for people who want to get to the next level, is they need to start activating the latent powers within their own bodies and within their own energy fields. And to me, that basically means what most people would call Kundalini work. So using the Aka Dua specifically to initiate Kundalini type transfers of energy or activations of energy, or simple, if you're working in the alchemy of the body, internal stuff, Negong, then the flow of energy. Because as powerful as the Aka Dua is, you know, I do feel like sometimes it's a little on the side. Again, it's a little foreign, it's a little beyond us in a way, and so it can bring us there. But for me, I really didn't start expressing these huge waves of energy and stuff until, at least that's how I experienced them, and get like completely suspended in the space, you know, and like, wow, this stuff is real and it sticks around. Until I started opening up to my shaking practice, to my ecstatic practice. That to me is what I am going to teach people anyway. And then if they want to do the Aka Dua on top of that, that's fine. I can have a whole prescribed plan for exactly how to go about these types of transformational changes and this method, if you will. I don't know what others are going to do as far as how to get us to the next level, because the fours, the level fours who have popped up, you know, spontaneously around, all seem to have gotten there on their own in their own way. And I think that's wonderful and beautiful and unique. Now, each of us are going to have something to contribute to this interesting Aka Dua rainbow tapestry. So mine is going to be being ecstatic with it, because what you find when you do activate your body, and when you think of the Kundalini type Shakti, shaking, ecstatic, Seiki, whatever, practices as separate from the Aka Dua. So I open up in all of these ways. You go through your own process and transformational changes just working with either one of them, you know? And so to combine them not only would be super powerful, but it must be done in a certain way that people can understand and can use each of them to not only bolster the experience of the other, but to calm us down and stabilize us when our body is going through rapid fire, crazy Kundalini type changes. Because any Kundalini yogi will tell you that Kundalini yoga is sort of dangerous. You know, a lot of people will have such strange experiences when they activate this energy, and it, you know, part of it gets up to their brain and something shoots on, and they're like, "Oh God, I'm crazy now." Um, you know, weird things can happen, and so I think it has to be treated very carefully. What I'm going to try to do is use the Aka Dua specifically, come up with something specific to initiate these Kundalini Shakti transformations and activations of energy. Okay, so this video may activate you in weird ways. Um, what else? I had some other things I wanted to say. Oh yeah, you might not, you know, depending on not just how sensitive you are, but because it activates the body when you're watching this kind of stuff, when you're receiving these types of energies, um, you might also not be able to distinguish them very well. And it's not just a matter of how sensitive are you, it's a matter of what they're doing to you and how the other ones are working through you. So just in a thing like this, even if it's just a session with the two of us or whatever, and I am sending you a certain variety of Aka Dua, it stays around for a very long time. It initiates a very slow and deliberate change, and it's going to stick around in different areas of your body. And so going on to the next variety, you might still be feeling the other one. You know, it's like things stick around for a while, so don't get too dismayed if they all feel the same to you. Right now, it just might feel like this weird thickness, you know? Or this weird honey-like substance or something that you can tell is there. Some people will see a shininess around them that they didn't notice before. With the shadow type energies and the things behind stuff, I don't know how else to say it, the in-between energies, like lunar or like void or like jaguar, you might feel a certain like presence to the shadows around you. Like the darkness becomes a little more like full of potential. Different perceptions that you can have. So yeah, just running through the varieties. I hope you enjoyed that. I know I talked a lot, but this is what I do. So yeah. That's Aka Dua stuff. Let me go ahead and check the chat now. I don't know if anybody's here or if anybody wanted to. Aha! I have someone. Oh, thank you. You're very kind. So just to read some of the comments in here, my friend was, "Whoa, throat is vibrating. What advanced skills! I could do this all day." Yes, that's what I love. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm glad that I'm always glad to get any type of feedback, you know. But I'm glad that someone feels these energies because it really validates what I do and what I just spent 40 minutes doing, you know. Okay, so those are different varieties of the Aka Dua. If you're interested in the Aka Dua, again, just contact me and we can do that. The regular transmission, most people charge $100. I charge $140 because my teachings in particular, I do not agree that you need to get the other levels. If you want to get the other levels, you can come to me and I can do those things. And there are certain things that should be done. If you want to get to level 3, you need to be made a level 3 by a level 4. But I don't really agree with all of that hierarchy. You can get there by yourself, you know? And so that's why I charge a little more for the actual transmission itself, because from there comes everything. It just depends on how you work with it. So, other people are different in that regard, but this is it was given to us so openly and so open-endedly that it was like you do whatever you want, you know. That coyote's function, I suppose, spiritually was just to introduce us to it. He did name certain things. He did call it Aka Dua for specific reasons, I think, because he is in, you know, the Golden Dawn tradition, and there are levels to things, and sort of correlates to the chakras or whatever. But originally, according to him, they were just calling it power, you know. Having said that, this just power also is supposed to have a lineage in Atlantis and does have a direct lineage to the Toltecs, who were cool people and refined it and worked with it and worked with it. So it can be very shamanic in that it like opens you up into this entire space, and you should be very aware of your surroundings and allow your eyes to be open and just like free and just taking in everything around you, not focusing in on one thing too much. Or some people close their eyes when they start to do energy work, and that can be a good sign. That means you're starting to feel stuff internally. But also, it can be very important to just give yourself the sign, the little signal. Okay, I'm feeling stuff internally. Now let's let it flow out by opening the eyes and opening the hands and opening the skin and the body and all that. But the Aka Dua can and does seem to save certain imprints, in that if I wanted to, I could use it to access very real states of consciousness that are very much in line with what the Toltecs did. And at least the impressions that I get from people like Coyote is that it was much more about playing a role. There's this sort of mysterious life theater, life and death theater that goes on with the function of the Toltecs, you know. And I don't so much get into those spaces because, well, I do. I just don't use it as a general practice, you know. Um, what this modern world has afforded us is terminology and usage, like using the word energy as a general purpose term, moving energy, using the word blockage. We have a blockage of energy that needs to be cleared. Like, all of this stuff wasn't really spoken of this way before. So now that we're dealing specifically with energy and breaking it apart in ways that we can grasp our little minds around and giving it words and words, talk. Now we're describing the same thing, but it becomes different. Our usage of it can become different because of the maps that we're creating. Okay? So for me, it has always been more like directly working with energy work, Reiki, Aka Dua, all in that vein. This is a specific energy and it comes out of me and I give it to you, etc. Whereas just being present in fully in the Aka Dua is more like a practice to me. It's more like theater, like being a role that you choose to take on. If I'm just working with the plane of obsidian or the plane of jaguar, let's say, then I'm going to activate it everywhere, in everything. Everything that I perceive, everything that I feel, everything that I see, every breath that I take, every word that I say, or every thought that comes into my little mind is jaguar. Your brain will shut up and turn on at the same time in certain ways as you suddenly realize that you're perceiving the world in a completely different way. I think it's important to work with things both that way, okay? Um, there are different ways that we can use this energy. That's all I'm trying to say. Um, and what else is interesting? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Again, look at the info if you want direct contact or if you want what do you call it? My music. It's on SoundCloud, and I'm doing the things, and it's amazing and wonderful, and I love you.